that number would belong. I don't know why he does
that. You were cooking. You were
What are you
cooking.
talking about?
Schedule out.
Who did
Yeah,
what?
but then he goes live when I'm in the middle of the point. So when somebody listens to the podcast, they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
What
He
are you
has
talking
it.
about?
Well,
What
the
are
one
you
thing he
talking about?
needs to do is move the cast-worthy thing from his face. That's what he needs to do first and foremost.
What are you talking about, bro?
But VP was talking about Schedule F and Trump's further tactics on shrinking government and essentially shrinking any accountability in government, in having positions that were once, autonomous from the rule of the president, so to speak, to where now he can pretty much shrink those positions and bring in people he wants to bring in, or fire those that don't get along with what he's trying to jive with or do. So I
Essentially,
mean,
building a criminal enterprise.
yeah, you still need to move the cast or anything from your face though. But
What
yeah, the little
VP?
banner
What's he
thing or
talking
whatever
about?
it is. I'm the only one that sees it.
Is he going crazy?
I'm the only one that sees the cast or anything.
I don't see
I
it.
started doing heroin. I went to the top of
I
my
see it, and
glasses.
for me, it's in the
Suddenly, I could
corner.
sit still. I could read.
Yeah, it's in the
I
corner.
went to
It's
the
like
bottom of my
blocking his
glasses.
face.
It's
I
not blocking
started
his
doing
face on my
heroin. I went to
screen.
the top of my glasses. Suddenly, I could sit still.
From what I see, is blocking his face, kind of. But
RFK Jr. says that he started doing heroin and that's what helped him be able to read.
No, he's
That
not your health
is,
secretary, so
that's the world that we live in today.
he's
That's
now your health
gonna be.
secretary. He's your health secretary in charge of pretty much every medical thing that'll happen in the United States, at least over the next 4 to 5 years. And he's also a proponent of getting rid of the Department of Education. So maybe we'll start giving kids heroin. It'll help them read. Who knows?
this is what white women want.
Yes. It's the Castworthy Podcast, and we are back. It is a threesome, super duper pause, super like the bowl, super pause. All three of us are here today. It is Sunday, February 16th, and it's a sad day, man. We don't have football for like another 6-8 months, something like that. And I don't know how I'm gonna live, man.
Salute to my boy Chris.
How do we make it through? What up, Chris? Well, all right. You guys don't want to talk? Fine. How was your weeks?
Well,
I don't know if
continue on.
I don't know if you want that Madden smoke. I'm not sure that you're ready for that. College football is trash.
Well, how was your week, Steve? Being that the Eagles won another Super Bowl, how do you feel? NFC East.
As a Cowboys fan, I thought I would be a little bit more upset, but the Eagles defense holding Patrick Mahomes to 0 points in the first quarter won me $1,000. So from that point forward, I was okay with the Eagles winning. And I'm not as mad as I was, man. I also went back and did some soul searching and realized that Patrick Mahomes is a Trump supporter. His wife is a Trump supporter. The Kansas City Chiefs as an organization are Trump supporters. The Eagles are on the opposite side of it. Trump chose the Chiefs to win. The Eagles created a room for a sensory room for their autistic fans. Like they just were on the right side of everything that I care about this year. And so as much as I don't like them because we're football rivals, I prefer them over the Kansas City Chiefs in every aspect of the game, you know. And then, of course, Tom Brady's the GOAT, and we could put an end to that conversation about him and Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, but we'll get to that. We will absolutely get to that. But
And
what are your
real quick
takeaways from the Super Bowl?
I just wanted to say real quick on that before we get to the actual game. That's something that we talked about last week. EJ Steve brought up with the sensory room for the fans, you know, who have sensory issues or maybe autistic or whatever, and how they
I need
have
you
a
talking
room.
to your mic.
Huh?
Talking to your mic. We can't hear you, bro. I think it might have defaulted to your computer mic instead of your AirPods, probably because you put your AirPods on after we started.
Listen,
While he does that, what was your takeaway from the Super Bowl?
I was happy for Jalen Hurts. I think, you know, and Saquon Barkley, you know, those guys work really hard, really dedicated. I like Jalen Hurts, man. You know, I just think he's a man, young guy, you know, carries himself in a good way.
Got a black wife or fiance,
Wife, you know what I mean?
black woman as his
Not that
spokesperson, right?
not that should mean everything, you know, because you know they are stressful. But
All women are stressful, dog.
facts. Nah, man, it was a good game. I thought the Eagles were the best team to win. You know, they've been cooking to this point, you know, and it was time. They were due. If I'm a New York Giants fan, Jesus Christ, man, like you got to be mad as shit at what the fuck is going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like
if you're
gonna win shit. We weren't gonna win shit, but you don't let this guy go to the fucking Eagles, man. This just nasty.
I mean, everything. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you a little bit, but that's good. You're good.
Okay, like everything that could go bad.
Oh, Jalen Hurts is a Q dog.
Oh, EJ loves him now.
Yes.
No, EJ hates him.
No, I don't hate him at all.
But
Chris is my frat brother. He's an army guy. So he's shitting on the Qs right now while he can.
If you're a Giants fan, man, everything that could go wrong in this season went wrong. You lose, you give up Saquon for Daniel Jones. Saquon goes on to have the best season of his entire career, MVP candidate, almost breaks the rushing title, wins the division, makes it to the Super Bowl and wins it. And the guy who you prioritize over him is not even on your roster anymore. Like like you have to feel like pissed. Like they should be, you know, holding you know, like circles, hand holding circles around a campfire, praying to whoever, you know, along with Mavs fans right now. Like this, they have to be beside themselves.
Finish your comment about the sensory room that the Philadelphia Eagles put in.
Oh no, I just wanted to let EJ know because he wasn't on that pod when you brought that up. Like the fact that they have the sensory room.
You wanted to remind him that he wasn't here
for you know, for fans or children or whatever who, you know, have sensory needs, you know, maybe they're autistic, etc. And I just think that that's huge to do that, man, to make the game accessible, you know, not just for those fans, but also the parents of those fans, you know, who may want to bring their children or whoever to the game. And I think that teams around the league, and not just in the NFL, but around the NFL and other sports, should take an example from that and maybe do something like that in their own arenas and stadiums to make sure that they're allowing everybody who wants to, you know, come and enjoy a game, allowing them to be able to do so. You know? So definitely big salute to them on that.
The day that we're allowing the Philadelphia Eagles to guide football is a sad day.
Well, not their fans. Not their fans. Their fans are just their fans are still scumbags, top to bottom.
Yeah.
For sure.
But
They
for
booed
but for the
Santa. They
game
threw
itself, man.
snowballs at Santa.
Yeah. But for the game itself, I went into it, saying all the time, like, I thought KC was the favorites because they keep showing us, whether it's the refs, whether it's Mahomes, Kelsey leaking out, getting a late first down, or some kind of 2-point conversion they desperately needed, whatever. They just always find a way, no matter how good the other team is. They just find a way somehow. And I just thought that it would happen the same way again, where the Eagles would be good, KC would be good as well. You got two top-notch defenses, and it would come down to who got the better quarterback play, which is Mahomes on most days. But the same way the Giants showed the Patriots in both of their meetings, when you put pressure on a quarterback, it don't matter how good he is. If he don't have any time to throw, like, nothing can get off. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they did with Mahomes. And the thing that I thought was amazing was the fact that I think the statistics show that the Eagles defense only ran like 2 blitzes the whole game, and that didn't come into the fourth quarter, like late in the fourth quarter at that. So they were getting to this guy with nothing but front four pressure, which is amazing.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
only that, not only that, the guys that they got home with, like Sweat and other people, these are homegrown guys. Like, they paid 20 million guarantee for Bryce Huff that I told Eagles fans, I said that was a shitty deal. He's not who you think he is. He wasn't even active for the game. So you talking about the guy that they just paid 20 million guarantee for to rush the quarterback didn't even play and he still got that off. Is insane. Insane.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, Jalen Carter, their rookie corner, the DEI corner, what's the name? Dean,
Cooper DeJean.
like Cooper DeJean, like they showed up. Them dudes showed up. And yeah, to your point, man, the Eagles defense played probably the best football I've seen a defensive unit play, especially in the Super Bowl, since I can't even tell you. Like, I think they were better than the Giants against Tom Brady. Think about it; those games came down to something. This score was 40-22, and really those were 2 garbage time touchdowns. So ultimately, that game should have been 40-6 for the bulk of that game. And to Chris's point in the chat, Kansas City probably didn't belong in the Super Bowl. Like, when you think of the other AFC teams that could have been there, like the Bills are probably a better option. The Bengals, if they didn't start off slow, were a better option. The Ravens were definitely a better option. And probably all 3 of those teams would have made a more competitive game of this Eagles game. Now, I saw someone this week say that there's about 18 quarterbacks in the NFL that could have won with that team. So I want to know if you guys feel that way, or do you guys feel like Jalen Hurts, really is that guy? Do you think it was the team overall, or do you think that, he played a huge part in it?
I think that Hurts played a huge part of it for sure, but I'm still not a believer in Hurts, right? Like, look, we see guys all the time that look great, right? But when it's over a small sample size. A classic example, and I'm not trying to compare Jalen Hurts to this guy, but I think a good example of something we saw recently was, like, remember when Danny DeVito, not shit, what's his name?
Tommy DeVito?
Tommy DeVito.
Yo,
When Tommy DeVito came in for the Giants, and people were like, "Oh shit, maybe they found their guy." And over that little small sample size, he looked okay. And then once you got to see him a little bit more, it's like, nah, this guy's kind of trash, you know. And for Hurts, we have a large sample size of him just being okay. And then in the Super Bowl, he showed his ass. You know what I'm saying? And so we know that these guys are in the NFL. They're capable of greatness from time to time, at least. But for the most part, like when a person shows you who they are, you got to believe them. And I don't think that Jalen Hurts has done enough to change the narrative, for me at least, on him just being okay. Like I'm not saying like he's terrible. He's not a bottom 10 quarterback or nothing like that. But to me, at this point in his career, based on everything I've seen, he's just okay. He's serviceable. I would say he's above average.
Whoa, serviceable. Whoa. Listen, we've become accustomed to yards and flash. We think a quarterback is good because he throws for 400 yards a game. But if you don't win shit, who the fuck cares?
Mhm.
Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I would say he's a great quarterback because he doesn't turn the ball over. And you can't say he doesn't make the throws. He drops a dime to Devontae Smith over his shoulder. He makes a throw that 80% of the league can't make. This guy uses his legs. He doesn't turn the ball over, and he's a winner. Granted, his team is built so well where he doesn't have to do all of the things that Joe Burrow does. But why is Joe Burrow not everybody's top number one quarterback? Because he's never available, right? He's always
Mhm.
hurt. So these are all things. While we love the flash, we love the excitement, Jalen Hurts gets it done. You know what I'm saying? The best thrower of the football I've seen in life is Dan Marino. Dan Marino's never won anything.
Mhm.
Here we are.
Right. So what I would say to you, EJ, is I can't really push back on many of those points, except for like the dying to Devontae Smith. Like that was in the Super Bowl. You know, it's kind of making my point. Like he showed up in the Super Bowl and played very well. But we don't see him throwing with that much touch and accuracy throughout the season, even throughout his career, right? And yes, he wins games, and that's at the end of the day, you're here to win games. However you get it done, tush push, field goal, all those games that Tom Brady won with oh boy, Vinatieri kicking a late minute. People
Mhm.
gave Brady that win or what. So at the end of the day, it's about winning, right? Cool, no argument for me. But the quarterback's job, his number one job is about throwing the ball. And Jalen Hurts is not a great thrower of the ball. He's just not. You know what I mean? So
We can't say he's not. We can't say he's not a great thrower. We can't say he's not a great thrower. He just doesn't throw a lot for us to say he's one of those guys that has to throw a lot. Again, you could be in the Super Bowl and you could be Trent Dilfer and not throw a goddamn pass. You might throw one or two, but Jalen Hurts makes the throws. There are people that don't make the throws. That's why teams haven't gone to the Super Bowl. And you got to think he's playing a top 5, top 10 defense. To whereas if they don't score, that game is much closer because Kansas City's defense was doing all it could do until it could do no more. Jalen Hurts, he just doesn't flash you. He doesn't wow you. He doesn't throw for 400 yards a game, but he doesn't turn the ball over. That's saying
right.
a lot.
Okay, and before you jump in, Steve, I'll make this comparison for you, EJ, and I think that this will help bring home my point a little bit cleaner for you. Jalen Hurts is basically Ken Dorsey from that can run. He's
No,
surrounded by nothing but
no,
talent, great
no.
offensive line, great defense, great receiver,
Who
great
was the
tight end,
receiver?
great running back.
Who was the receiver on that team for Ken Dorsey? Santana Moss.
Andre Johnson and Santana Moss. The tight
Yeah,
end was
Santana Moss
fucking
wasn't a world beater in college.
Andre Johnson, wasn't?
Jeremy Shockey. They no
The
Andre Johnson was
offense
good, but
the
even in the
offense was
NFL,
wide receiver one, Andre Johnson wide receiver one, Santana
Ken
Moss wide receiver two.
Ken Dorsey,
Uh, um,
those guys, Ken Dorsey didn't have to do a thing. To say Jalen doesn't have to do a thing is totally different. We're talking about college to the NFL. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Jalen
Because
Hurts.
I'm
even if you
not
look at
saying it's
Jalen
the
Hurts in
same
college,
game.
yeah,
I'm
it's a
not
bad
saying it's the
comparison.
same game, EJ.
It's a
I'm not
bad
saying it's the same.
comparison.
All I'm saying
Bad,
is
it's a
that
bad
he is a
comparison.
quarterback. He's a
No,
quarterback
no, no.
that is
It's a
surrounded
bad
by
comparison.
talent.
That's
Jalen
college,
But
and
Jalen
this is
Hurts.
NFL.
Look in the Super Bowl, right? If we're looking at the Super Bowl overall, Jalen Hurts, he went out there and Kansas City said all year these guys have been carried by Saquon Barkley. We're not letting Saquon Barkley beat us.
and they did that.
Every time they snapped the ball, the safeties were in the box. Every time they snapped the ball, the linebackers were in the box. They played man defense all game. you have two very good wide receivers. You should be, as a quarterback, should be able to, without being blitzed, make those throws to man coverage to your wide receivers. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, those are good wide receivers. AJ Brown is probably a top 5 to 10 wide receiver, and Devontae I would say he's probably in the top 15 easily if you're looking at the wide receivers, right? In the
I would
league.
go top 20. I would go top 20, but your point is still valid. They got two top 20 wide receivers at the 1 and 2 spot.
And even though you have good cornerbacks, right? We've seen the best cornerbacks get beat when they have to play man coverage. We've seen Darrelle Revis get torched. We've seen the only cornerback we can say that played man coverage and didn't get beat heavily is maybe Champ Bailey. That's about it. We've seen Dion get beat on man coverage. We've seen everyone get beat, and Champ, don't get me wrong, he was beat, but not on the regular. It was a rarity. Now, so Jalen Hurts did what he had to do. Let me ask you guys this: I'm going to give you some quarterbacks today, and I'm going to say overall, not just Super Bowl, in general, Jalen Hurts. Would you take Jalen Hurts today, or let's start with Sam Darnold?
Hurts.
Okay, Jalen Hurts.
Are we kidding? Are we kidding? Is that even a serious question?
Okay, Jalen. I didn't want to make it too
Sam
hard for you.
Darnold. I see ghost Sam Darnold.
Jalen Hurts or Jared Goff?
Jalen Hurts.
Hurts.
Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels?
I haven't seen enough of Jaden Daniels yet, so give me Jalen Hurts.
I would say inconclusive. We need to see another season of maybe two of
just ask CJ Stroud fans about sophomore years.
Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love?
Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts or Baker Mayfield?
Hurts.
I love Baker, but give me Jalen.
Okay. Jalen Hurts or Tua?
Hurts. Tua's a better thrower of the ball, but Jalen Hurts can run and he's available.
What he said.
Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott?
I think I would go Dak here.
I'm biased. I love Dakota, man. Fuck.
All right, let's go real quick. Top 5. Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar regular season Jackson? Give me Jalen.
This one's tough for me, man.
Lamar regular season Jackson, who throws errant interceptions for no reason, gets in the playoffs and acts like he's Trent Dilfer. Give me Jalen big time Hurts.
I want to say Jackson, but I mean EJ just kind of convinced me.
Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow?
I think same with Tua. Burrow's a better thrower of the ball, but Jalen Hurts is available.
Joe injury prone. Burrow, I don't know he's gonna play a full season for me. Give me Jalen.
Jalen Hurts or Geno Smith?
That's not even a question. It would be Hurts.
Broward County's finest. I love him. Great football guy. Loved him at West Virginia. Loved him before he got his jaw broken for $600. But give me Jalen.
Jalen or Josh Allen?
Josh
Allen.
Jalen or Patrick Mahomes?
Pat.
Give me Patty.
Okay. So by those comparisons, you guys have Jalen Hurts as a top 5 quarterback in the league. The only ones you all said you would take over him are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott for EJ is maybe just because he likes him, VP, probably based on the actual sample size. And I probably agree with those, except Lamar. I would take Lamar. And today, I might take Baker Mayfield over Jalen Hurts. if I needed, like, if you give me one game and I had to choose, I mean, or one season, I might take Baker Mayfield today over Jalen Hurts. I think if you take Baker Mayfield and you put him on that Eagles team, they win the Super Bowl.
And see the pushback I
I
give
can
for
see
that
that.
is right when Baker Mayfield had the opportunity to win and seal the deal, he throws the fucking ball away. This is the difference between winning and being there. See, we can talk about if all day, right? But when you had the opportunity, you squandered it away by throwing an errant interception, which Jalen Hurts doesn't do. Jalen Hurts is 18-1 versus the AFC. You know the one loss he had versus my bum ass Jets, to where we made him turn the ball over at least 3 times in a game, something he hasn't done since then.
I
Turning the
mean,
ball over is critical, fellas. It's critical.
right, no doubt. I hear what you're saying. I think also too that the player character comes into play too when you talk about those two guys. And sometimes Baker gets too high. You know, his highs seem too high and his lows seems too low. And I'm kind of reminded of one of the touchdown throws that Jalen Hurts threw when they showed the one of the clips from NFL cameras or whatever, and the linemen were coming up to him like, yeah, they're like going crazy, and he's like, okay, okay, like he's
Yeah,
just
just
even
another
kill.
day.
He like, I know.
Yeah, yeah, he's just super even kill, super chill. You know what I mean? And so that may help keep the guys in check to not get too crazy, because the leader is not getting crazy. Whereas if that was Baker and those guys were getting hyped like that, I could see Baker, joining them and doing all that kind of stuff. And then, who knows if that, is good or bad. But I think it helps that Hurts kind of keeps those guys calm, because he's had the same expression, for the last 5 years or something like that,
The last little bit of bashing I'll do on the Eagles is, even though they won me money, and that's why I'm kind of taking it easy, is um the other thing that I don't think anyone has talked about is the route, right? VP always says you only play who's on the, who they put on the schedule, whoever's in front of you, right? And that I agree 100%. They didn't play the number 1 or the number 2 seed in the playoffs, because both of those teams got knocked out by inferior teams, and then they got to play those inferior teams. So their route to the Super Bowl was much easier in comparison to Kansas City, who played, in my opinion, a better team on the way to the Super Bowl, a better group of teams on the way to the Super Bowl. Um, but the Eagles, I mean, they had a really, really simple road, with Washington being a rookie quarterback, not a rookie head coach, but a first year head coach for that team. Um, you know, that's the
Dan
the
Quinn ain't
team they
first
played
year.
in the and the NFC championship. Like, you
Dan
know,
Quinn ain't a first year head coach.
for that team, I said not a rookie court. I didn't
Oh,
say not a rookie coach, but a first year coach for them. The Rams, another team that overachieved with a Cooper Cup who had 0 catches. Like, this was their route. The Packers in the first round, which, I mean, again, another team that overachieved. They got a bunch of wide receivers that don't know their identity, and a quarterback who was injured. So their route to the Super Bowl was pretty damn simple. So when people come out and say, "Oh, this was a historic playoff run," it wasn't. They didn't play the Lions. They didn't play the Bucks. They didn't play the Vikings. And the Lions and the Vikings both went 14-3. Well, 14-3, 15-2. And granted, they both got eliminated early. They didn't see them. They didn't see them.
Yeah, I
Someone else did
mean,
their job.
yeah, I mean, I hear you. I'm not the biggest fan of that argument, just because, like you said, you only can beat the teams that put on the schedule. But it definitely, I think it's a valid point. Where Kansas City has to go through a gauntlet to get to the Super Bowl, and they kind of cakewalk with the teams that they face. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. They won, the Super Bowl champs, and Hurts, he got it done, man. He got it done.
I
It
gotta
was
push.
sad.
I gotta
It
push
was a
back on
sad
the.
day for me.
I gotta push back on the road less traveled argument because it's the NFL. It's not like any other sport. So it doesn't matter what your record is, right? You have to show up on that Sunday and line up against those men. And, VP from the Marines that I know, and maybe you can speak more to it. I don't have to be the best guy. I just got to be the best on that day, right? And the Lions, they came out, they got dog walked at home. They played like dog shit. Jared Goff turned the ball over. How many times? Baltimore Ravens, we could say should be here and could have played better. We haven't seen that yet from this team in 5 years, right? So you got Jaden Daniels. Yes, he's a rookie. You talk about the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold showed up to be exactly who the fuck we thought he was. And they got exposed. When it comes to playoff football, all that regular season bullshit is just that. It is super difficult to perform in the regular season and then perform when the lights is on and the pressure's highest. You got to salute the Eagles for doing exactly what they did all year.
Detroit was the best team in the league all season, front to back, and they didn't play them. When you have the best team in the league in your
But why
conference,
didn't they play them?
when you have the best team in the league in your conference and you don't even have to play them in the playoffs, that is an easier path than what it should be. Again, I'm not taking anything from Philly because they played a Kansas City team and the refs, which, by the way, the refs seem to be on the other side of the ball this game. It seemed like the refs went out there and they were like, "We're gonna beat the allegations," because there was some calls that Philly got that were a little questionable. But neither here nor there. They got it done, and I don't think no matter what the refs did, the way Kansas City was playing and Patrick Mahomes was getting beat up, I don't think there was anything they could have done for Philly to lose that game. So
Steve,
I don't think the refs played any part.
Steve, we can argue, and I haven't looked this up, but we can argue that Detroit's strength of schedule was trash. We can argue that they didn't play anybody all year. Honestly, we can have the same argument because they allowed a rookie coach of that team, a rookie quarterback, to come in their building and beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
hard.
we could argue that, but they would argue.
I wouldn't
They would
say
argue that they had
they didn't
two
beat the
guys on
shit
injury
out of them.
reserve.
They beat them 31-45. And then Philly went the next week and beat Washington 55-23. That's what I'm talking about. Philly played a team that could only put up 23 points against them. And I'm not giving that credit to Philly. I'm giving that credit to it being a rookie quarterback in a big situation with a head coach who's known to not perform as a head coach in those situations. This is the same head coach that gave up a 27-point lead in the second
But he's
half.
also been a coach. He's also been a coach to go to Super Bowl. He's also been they've also beat two coaches that have been to Super Bowls. One that has won one with a quarterback that's won one. They beat another one that went to the Super Bowl. Okay, so we want to talk about what the Lions did or didn't do. They got beat at home. They had home field advantage. What more do you need? You're supposed to get it done. We can't talk about what you had to beat and who you had to beat. They didn't get it. Detroit did not get it done. Period.
The
No,
Lions played
EJ, I hear you,
That
but I think that there's some merit to the argument. I mean, Boston last season played a shitty Heat team, then they played a banged up Philly team, and then they played a no Jalen Brunson Knicks team. You know what I mean? And so
right.
yeah, we can look at it like, man, Jason Tatum finally got the monkey off
is
his back. He got it
basketball.
done, boop, boop. And it's like, yo, but I mean, he really didn't play anybody in the playoffs.
Right. Football is a team game. Next man up. Next man
Basketball's a
up.
team game.
I think basketball is a superstar game because LeBron carried a bunch of motherfuckers to the finals with nobody.
Look, on the way to the playoffs, the Lions played the Buccaneers, they played the Cowboys, they played the Seahawks, they played the Vikings twice, they played the Texans, they played the Packers twice, they played the 49ers. Like, to say that they played the Commanders. So to say that they didn't, I'm sorry, that was the wild card game. But to say they didn't play anyone, that's asinine. They played the Steelers, who
Like,
were They played the Bucks. Like the Lions played some
The
teams.
Steelers who are a makeshift. The Steelers who are a makeshift team. You know that started 2 different quarterbacks in a year. Looked like dog shit down the stretch. The Bucks who had Baker
The Steelers who
Mayfield.
were a top 6 team in the AFC because they made the playoffs.
The Steelers are always going to be good because Mike Tomlin's the coach. But what did they do in the playoffs? They look like dog shit.
Right, but I mean, just the point that Steve is kind of making, EJ, is that like you look at KC last year. KC plays the Dolphins at home in the wild card game in that fucking blizzard, beat them. Then they have to go to Buffalo, play on the road in the snow, beat them, and then go to Baltimore on the road again and beat them on the way to the Super Bowl. And so he's like, they went up against the teams that are considered the top teams in the AFC, not save for the Dolphins, right? And
For the
his
regular
point is
season.
huh?
For the regular season. These guys were good for the regular season. The thing about being a champion means when it counts the most, did you deliver? And I get your point. I get your point. But again, when it came down to it, we can say the Baltimore Ravens are so formidable every year in the regular season. But this motherfucker Lamar Jackson threw the game away. Literally, he made it easier for these guys.
Right. I get what you're saying. I
Josh
guess
Allen, the Bills are not. The Bills weren't world beaters this year. They were not. They were not a world beating team this year. They weren't. They didn't
right.
dominate.
But I
They were the
mean,
number
games that
2
they
seed
won.
in the AFC.
At the end of the day, if you ask any analyst or watcher of football when the playoffs started, right, in the wild card round, what's the road to the Super Bowl? They would have told you on the AFC side, it's the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens, and on the NFC side, that it was the Eagles, Lions, and Vikings. And the Eagles didn't have to face either one of those teams, whereas the Chiefs had to face one of them. And that's kind of the point that Steve is making, is that the road to the Super Bowl that everybody would have told you was the road, they didn't have to travel.
I get it. I would just argue that the teams aren't who we thought they were. That's all I would argue. You know, that Jaden Daniels was hot. That team was hot, and they put on. And they had a lot of luck on their side. Detroit had a lot of injuries. Now, if we wanted to say if Detroit was hurt, that would have been a different argument for me. Detroit went through at least, I want to say, 15 different starters on defense. So that has a lot to do with it. And then, Jared Goff fucking acted like he never played football before. But again, what's the point of you saying that this is a great team? And when the lights are on and they're at home, they show up like some bitches, respectfully. I don't know. I get
They went
it. I get
15-2 for a reason. Like they didn't go 15-2 and they're just a regular season team. That's asinine to say. Philly is
Well, it's actually true.
What's true?
It's actually the truth. It's actually the truth. They are a regular season team because they didn't do shit in the playoffs.
A lot of teams didn't do shit in the playoffs. Chargers lost first round. Pittsburgh lost
Sure, a
first
lot of
round.
teams didn't
Denver
make the
lost
playoffs.
first round. Minnesota lost first round. Tampa Bay lost first round. A lot of teams didn't do shit in the playoffs. If you're talking about what you're saying, then Baltimore didn't do shit in the playoffs. They lost in the second round after just beating Pittsburgh.
That's what I've been saying. All these teams you just talked about to me are regular season guys. Bo Nix, there was a time.
So the only
Denver,
team that's formidable, that's a playoff team, then is Philly in your eyes, because you just said every other team in the NFL sucks.
No, I said a lot of those teams to me were regular season teams. The Kansas City Chiefs are not a regular season team because they showed up in the playoffs and they beat who they had to beat. What I'm saying is a lot of the teams you just mentioned are regular season darlings. The Ravens, we get to this point every year. I want Lamar to win. I'm in Baltimore. I would love it when he wins. But again, he gets to the playoffs and does what? Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos, before they beat the Jets by 1 point, mind you, this was a 10-9 game in Jersey. Before that game, they were talking about benching this kid. He goes on a run, gets hot, and now they're all to be talked about. Baker Mayfield, nobody gave this guy a chance to be good in Tampa. Nobody.
Everybody did. That's why he got re-signed this year. He made the playoffs last year and beat Philly last year in the playoffs. Like, what are we talking about here? We can't say that these are regular season teams. And just a year ago, we were saying that these teams were better than that. Like, and Philly wasn't. Philly lost in the first round last year and the year before. Like, Philly has a great team. They got a great front line that they built. They got rookies that showed up. And on the offensive side of the ball, they're just absolutely stacked. Absolutely stacked. Offensive line is stacked. Both wide receivers are stacked. Tight end is stacked. Running back is probably one of the best, if not the best in the league today. And their quarterback, all he had to do was not suck. That's all he had to do was not suck. And that's what he
that's a
did.
lot.
He didn't suck. And then in one game they said, "Hey, go out there and make this happen." It's the same Joe Flacco. Same shit as Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco ran
But
his
that's what
way
I told
all the
y'all
way
about Joe.
through the
That's
Joe
what I told you
Flacco got
about Joe
carried
Flacco in the
all the
playoffs.
way
Joe
through by
Flacco
a
is
great
different.
team and then got to the playoffs and decided he was going to show up. But he didn't do shit for 16 weeks.
Joe,
He didn't do shit
Joe
for 16
Flacco.
weeks on his Super Bowl run. That's why they didn't sign him. Am I wrong?
I don't know what you're talking about. Joe Flacco did get paid in Baltimore. What are you talking about?
He didn't.
He did get
There was a
paid.
reason he didn't get paid. He got paid after he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he got paid.
After he won the Super Bowl. My point is, Joe Flacco, leading to the Super Bowl, his Super Bowl season did absolutely nothing, got carried by a defense, and then showed up in the right time. And that's the same thing Jalen Hurts did. Jalen Hurts got carried by a team and showed up in one game.
He showed up. Joe Flacco showed up when the defense, who was world beaters all year, and he had to outscore the other team. I get it, man. We just can't have it both ways. We can't praise people for showing up and doing what they do in the clutch, and then talk about how LeBron has made it 1,000 times and didn't win.
That comparison doesn't even make sense. All I've said is that Hurts is
I
not
I didn't even say you. I didn't even say you. I'm just saying
no,
people.
but I'm like can't. Right, but I'm all like the point is this is the point I'm making, at least. Steve's making his own point. Is that Hurts is not like some world beater or whatever, because he's a quarterback who's not a great thrower of the ball. Is he a winner? Yes. Is he a great runner? Yes. Is he a good leader? Yes. Yes to all that stuff. But the thing that's the thing that is the main thing, the quarterback's main thing is to be able to throw the ball, and he doesn't do it well. That's all I'm saying.
Jalen Hurts is a game manager.
He had one game where he played his ass off, and hats off to him. But for the most part, he's not that dude.
I think it's nasty that y'all call him a game manager or not a good thrower of football just because he doesn't have to throw 40 times for 400 yards to win.
It's not about having to throw, EJ. In the games where he throws it 30 times, he's just not. He's not.
So he throws a lot of interceptions.
He's not super. No,
he throws a lot of interceptions.
He's not super. EJ, do you see Jalen Hurts?
You just said he doesn't throw the ball a lot. So if he doesn't throw the ball a lot, then law of averages, he's not going to throw a lot of interception. But when he does throw the ball, there's a chance of an interception, and he throws them in big situations. He threw an interception in the Super Bowl last year, and he fumbled in the Super Bowl last year, and they both costed him. And then this year, he threw an interception, and the only thing that happened is Kansas City looked like shit. But it's not that he doesn't turn the ball over. He does turn the ball over. This guy, and when we talk about thrower of the ball, 2,900 yards. 2,900 yards this year. His passer rating was 103. He did have 5 interceptions, and he only threw for 18 touchdowns. He is not a good thrower of the ball. VP is 100% accurate in that statement. 68%.
That doesn't make
68% completion percentage was like 14 in the league.
That's high
amongst people.
That doesn't make him a bad thrower of the football. That means he just doesn't have to throw a lot because that's not their game. We just went through how many quarterbacks we went through, Steve, and me and VP both just said he's
you're literally making the point, Doug. It's not his game. That's why they don't design the game plan that way, because he doesn't throw the ball that good.
It's not his game because he doesn't have to. It's not because he can't. That's two different arguments. It's
when he had to, but that's the difference though. When he had to, which was last year, he looked bad doing it. And this year he doesn't have to, so we don't see him looking bad doing it. So he can't do it. That's the point. He cannot do it.
crazy. That's kind of crazy. But me and VP
And
just
look at
named
it.
this
Look at it
guy
this way, EJ.
as top 3. We
Look,
just named, but VP, you just named this guy as top 3 in all
okay.
of the comparisons.
Look at Hurts compared to a guy like Patrick Mahomes, right? You see early in Patrick Mahomes' career, he's doing all that running and scrambling and shit like that. It gets a little bit deeper, and then they in Kansas City say, "Man, we got to protect the franchise." So now Patrick Mahomes is a thrower of the ball. Yeah, he runs sometimes when he has to, but for the most part, he's out there throwing the ball. For Jalen Hurts, they're still out there pushing him, having him do these design runs and shit like that. Because why? He is a running quarterback. He's not a quarterback who can run like a Mahomes. He's a running quarterback.
Who throws the ball
It's
better,
crazy.
Lamar
It's
Jackson or
crazy.
Jalen Hurts?
I'm gonna say
In your
Jalen.
opinion,
I'm gonna say Jalen.
I think I would go with Lamar. I think Lamar throws the ball.
You said
with who?
Lamar throws it better?
I think so.
Lamar does throw the ball better than Jalen Hurts, in my opinion. And these are opinion. I mean, these are opinion based conversations. But numbers wise, everything shows that he does. Lamar Jackson threw for 41 touchdowns this year. Speaking of which, let's go back to, we didn't talk about the MVP. We didn't talk about MVP. We didn't talk about any of the awards that took place. So
I thought defensive player should have got Super Bowl MVP.
What's that?
I thought the Super Bowl MVP should have been a defensive player. I understand why Hurts got it, but somebody in the defense should have got it.
It probably should have been the kid that got the pick six or 2 picks, Cooper DeJean, because he had 2 picks. He had a pick 6, and then he had the pick at halftime to stop their drive. He probably could have been in the conversation.
You would want the white boy at corner to get the MVP.
DEI. 2024 NFL honors took place, and we'll go through these quickly because this is a few years old. Kevin O'Connell got Vikings head coach or the Vikings head coach got coach of the year. I thought Dan Quinn I think Dan Quinn should have got that with Washington. He took them from nowhere to somewhere, in my opinion.
I agree.
Agreed.
I mean, I get why Kevin O'Connell is in the conversation. You lose your starting quarterback in camp. You got to bring in a backup who nobody believes in. And, you go out there and win 14 games. So I get that. But the fact that on the other side, the same argument can be made with Dan Quinn, rookie head coach who just built a coaching staff, not a rookie head coach, first year head coach on a new team. You got to build a brand new staff coming in with a rookie quarterback. We've all the way to the NFC Championship. Like, come on, man.
Was Joe Burrow hurt last year in 2023?
Yes.
Okay, because he got comeback player of the year. I don't recall him. I don't remember. I just don't remember him being hurt. I'm sure he was.
He's always hurt.
Yeah,
he's always hurt.
Missed, I think he missed 10 games last year. Something like that.
J.K. Dobbins got second place on that. I thought that was a good story, but yeah, I mean, if Joe Burrow was that hurt, then I have no problem with that. Pat Surtain getting defensive player of the year is kind of questionable to me.
Nah, Pat Surtain is that boy at corner. He's that boy. He's almost perfect. He's almost perfect as a defensive player.
I don't know, man.
It's fucking nuts how good he is, bro. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you, bro.
In 2024,
you're not gonna find 100 of his peers.
He had 4 interceptions.
You're not gonna find 100 of his peers. That's not everything.
4 interceptions, 34 solo tackles, 11 assisted tackles, 1 touchdown scored, 11 pass deflections. I don't know, man. I don't know if...
I don't know that he could...
Is that better than
should have won it first?
Trey Hendrickson or Myles Garrett? I mean... Trey Hendrickson, didn't he break the sacks record this year?
I don't know about that.
Trey Hendrickson had
this year too, though.
No, he didn't break the record. He had 17 and a half sacks this year.
I don't think that leads the NFL. Does he lead the NFL in sacks this year?
Yeah, he did.
By how many?
I want to say T.J. Watt was second, and I can double check it.
And T.J. Watt was hurt this year too, because T.J. Watt has gotten like 22. I know he had like 22 last year or something like that.
In the past, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Huh.
Okay. T.J. Watt only had 11.5 this year.
Yeah, he was hurt.
But it's all right. I don't care about defensive player of the year, whatever, he won. Saquon got offensive player of the year. I feel like he probably had a case. Obviously, Jaden Daniels got rookie of the year, no question there. Actually, Jaden Daniels could have been a conversation between him and Bo Nix, but I do think Jaden Daniels wins that. But Saquon, I thought would have been in a good position for MVP, but they gave it to Josh Allen. And the way I look at it, I think Saquon doesn't get it because of the team. And I also feel like that's why Lamar didn't get it. And that's why Josh Allen got it. But I feel like you guys feel differently.
Well, I do feel differently. What I will say is I wish I would have shared in the chat. Emmanuel Acho was on a podcast this week. And I can't remember the name of it, but he talked about, because he's an MVP voter, and he talked about the process this year. And he says he brought up the process last year because he said he's only been a voter for the past 2 seasons. And he said this year the AP put out clarifications on what each award meant, because he's one of the voters who voted for Allen MVP, but for Lamar as being the all-pro quarterback. And he said that essentially the AP said that the all-pro quarterback vote is for the best quarterback in the league that year. And that's why he voted Lamar. Whereas the MVP is for like the most valuable player, like regardless of position, etc. He goes into a little bit more detail on like how they break it down. And he says for him, that's why it was Allen. But I think the stats have to matter. And when you look at Allen's stats compared to Lamar's, it doesn't make sense to me how Josh Allen is the MVP, because the thing that makes you valuable at that point is the production and what you do for the team. And Lamar's, I don't want to say eclipsed, but he definitely, at least cast a shadow, outshined Allen, whatever word you want to use for that or whatever. And I honestly feel like going into the voting, it felt like the voters thought it's Josh Allen's turn, because every year he's an MVP favorite in the beginning of the season, and then he just doesn't get there at the end. And it's Mahomes or Lamar or whoever over the time that Josh Allen's been in the league, and now it's just his turn. Mahomes has a down year. Lamar just won it last year, and so we can't let him win back to back or whatever, And so it's Allen's turn again, and I think that was nonsense to me.
If Acho is accurate in that it was the best quarterback, then Joe Burrow should have got it. If we're not looking at win. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, if we're not talking about wins or loses, we're not talking about that part of it, making the playoffs or not. Joe Burrow was the best quarterback in the league, bar none. 4,900 yards, 43 passing touchdowns, 108 passer rating, 70% completion percentage. This guy, I mean, he did have 9 interceptions, but Josh Allen had 6. Lamar only had 4 and threw 41 touchdowns, 4,172 passing yards. Again, Lamar is a way better passer than Jalen Hurts. So I could see Lamar being in that conversation with Joe Burrow. But yeah, if it's supposed to be best player, then it's between those two, in my opinion.
The reason I feel like the whole MVP thing was bullshit is because the same reason you gave the award last year, he did better this year and was that better than his counterparts this year in that regard, statistically, outside of what Joe Burrow did. And you take this guy away from the Ravens, they're not even in discussion. And I heard
I
Otto's
don't know
point. I
about
thought
that.
it was complete.
I don't know about that.
You take
The Ravens defense is good. The
the Ravens
Ravens
defense is not good. It's not as good as
and
it's been.
they have a running back who ran for damn near 2,000 yards.
Yeah, who was in Tennessee and couldn't do shit there because it
Derrick
matters
Henry
where
ran for
who
1,921 yards and had 16 touchdowns.
it
That
matters
plays a
where
part.
you are. It matters where you are. And if you don't have Lamar, just look at the playoff game. He didn't do shit. You take away Derrick Henry, Lamar was the only thing else there. That was it. And his best is Zay Flowers. This guy ain't throwing to AJ Brown or Devontae Smith to y'all point. He's not
That's the thing.
throwing
If
to
if we're talking about taking someone from a team,
St. Brown.
then it is Josh Allen. Because tell me who Josh Allen's number one receiver is off the top of your head without even thinking.
Shakir.
Okay.
Who I'd
And
say is better than
what
Zay
did
Flowers.
Shakir do this year? Excuse me? He's better than who?
He's better than Zay Flowers at times.
You're on drugs. You're on drugs.
Trying to make an
You're on
argument.
drugs.
No, you're right in that regard, but I mean statistically, what was the difference last year? If that was the case, what was the difference? How did he win last year?
Last year he was better. He was the way better player. Josh Allen last year had a better team, in my opinion. Not a better team than the Ravens, but a better team than he had this year. Josh Allen had Stephon Diggs last year.
It's literally the same.
I think also the problem. I've said this before, and this is not an original point. I actually heard this from somebody on TV. I actually think it was Nick Wright, who Steve hates, but I think that this is actually a very good point and something that needs to be done. Where we have made the MVP award a quarterback award. You know, like the days of I can't remember the guy who won MVP, the defensive back, the cornerback, like back in the mid 2000s. The last time the defensive player won it, and I think it was Sean Alexander, the year he broke the record, won it in Seattle in the mid 2000s, and since then it's only been a quarterback. Did Chris Johnson win it when he hit 2000?
CJ2K, no.
Okay, so yeah, so we've essentially made the MVP award a quarterback award instead of being the most valuable player, which, you know, according to Acho, this is what the folks who do the voting say it's supposed to be, and it's not the most valuable. It's the most valuable quarterback. And so the argument is that they need to make like the MLB has the Cy Young Award for pitchers, and in that way, because you could argue that the pitcher is the most important player all the time, you know, in baseball. So they created an award just for them, and then that way it allows the MVP to be open to everybody: pitchers, shortstops, you know, the guy with the most home runs, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we see it rotate from maybe it's a shortstop who had a great season hitting but also played great defense. Maybe it's a slugger who just, you know, destroyed home runs this year or whatever. Maybe it's a pitcher who, you know, who got, you know, 20 wins or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in NFL, every year, as soon as the season's over, you're already seeing it on ESPN, Fox Sports, etc. Them already putting together their list who's going to be the MVP favorites next year, and it's like 5 or 6 quarterbacks. Like no other position or player is even considered. Myles Garrett has had 3 seasons back to back to back where he got 14 sacks, and he's not even considered for MVP. And I know that they'll say, "Oh, his team doesn't win a lot of games," or kind of stuff like that, or whatever. But like, double-digit sacks year after year after year is like a huge accomplishment in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And this dude doesn't even get consideration because we've made this award a quarterback award.
Yeah, I agree. I agree there. Saquon Barkley ran for 2,000 yards and sat the last week. Like, that's an accomplishment. That's basically going back and saying he did it the same way that the previous guys did it, right? CJ2K did it. Sean Alexander did it. What's his name? Eric Dickerson. They all did it in 16 games, and so did Saquon. Like, it's not like he needed that extra game to do it.
I thought Saquon should win. I mean, when you're talking about, y'all just said it. This Eagles team got bounced out last year. The biggest difference maker to me, outside of that defense, because it's largely the same defense, the biggest difference maker to that offense was Saquon. They pieced together an offensive line. They got a guy back then at guard who everybody wrote off. Lane Johnson's their only staple. They injuries on the O-line and all of those different things. And then you had the narrative that, whether you believe it or not, Hurts can't get the ball to these great receivers. Hey, just give Saquon the ball. This motherfucker, he did it all. You know what I mean? I would argue he, to me, was the MVP.
Where's Pat Mahomes on you guys' quarterback all-time list? Before we move on,
I got him at I would say maybe between 3 and 4. I still got Brady maintained.
you got Pat over Peyton.
I want to say no, and the reason why is I think Peyton was a better thrower of the ball, better leader of the offense, etc. But Mahomes having the 3rd ring, Mahomes going to 5 Super Bowls, having 3 rings is like very compelling to me for moving him above over Peyton.
I just compare the times that people played in. Peyton played in a time where defenses were a lot more savage. They were allowed to do a lot more. You could jam guys more. You could do a lot more holding. He also didn't have world beaters on offense consistently all the time. He had Harrison. Outside of that, I don't know who else he had.
Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison.
Who else he had?
Reggie Wayne,
would you say
Marvin Harrison.
Would you say outside of Marvin Harrison, would you say either of those guys are better than the Cheetah? Outside of Marvin Harrison. Travis Kelce
for career, yes. For career, I would say that they're better than the Cheetah, but for the time that the years that they played Super Bowl, I would say what's his face? Baby Beater was better than those guys.
And you said somebody said Dallas Clark versus Travis Kelce.
I'll take Kelce.
I'll take Kelce.
Exactly.
Okay.
Edgerrin James.
Edgerrin James.
Look, both of them played in
James
shitty divisions. So let's not forget that. Like
Edgerrin
when
James
you get to play
the top 20 running back list.
No, you're right.
Is Edgerrin James better than the running back that Mahomes had?
Yes, every running back he's had.
Yeah, but Edgerrin James ain't a game changer. It never was to me. Not in the NFL. Sorry.
But if you put a quarterback in a division where they get to play Jacksonville twice a year, Houston twice a year, the old ones, not the current ones, and Tennessee twice a year, you should be a great quarterback who makes the playoffs every year. Kansas City similarly gets to play the Raiders twice a year, Denver twice a year, and why can't I remember the third team?
The Raiders, Chargers, and Denver.
Chargers, and they play the Chargers twice a year. They should be doing what they do to get there. Now, of course, to EJ's point, you got to win the playoffs and you got to win the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes did that. I don't know, man. I have
EJ. He saw me coming. He saw me coming.
Well, you can make that argument
to the party for Tom Brady.
You can make that.
So he threw that Super Bowl shit in there.
Thomas Brady.
He saw me
that
coming.
argument for Thomas Brady. The AFC East has been dog shit. The Bills don't have a Super Bowl at all. The Jets haven't been in the playoffs Tom Brady's entire duration, maybe twice in his whole career. And the Dolphins were dog shit Tom Brady's entire career. So they win that division every single year just by waking up.
And win Super Bowls.
VP?
Yeah, you're right.
and then went to Tampa Bay and won the Super Bowl. Anyway, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning. I think Pat Mahomes slots right in there for me. He starts to move in that area in 3, probably with Dan Marino and John Elway. Like I feel like that threesome pause starts to run that 4, 5, 6 spot in my personal opinion for quarterbacks. And Lamar
Marino's probably
winning low key could be in a top 10 conversation all time, in my opinion.
Negative. Dan Marino's one of the best throwers of the football of all time. Best guy, best. When you look at how he threw football, it's a goddamn shame he wasted his life in Miami. It's a goddamn shame.
Well, it's not that he just wasted his life; it's that he was selfish. He was selfish. They offered to go out and get him wide receivers, and he said no.
He had wide receivers.
Good wide receivers.
Okay, moving on.
Everybody has wide receivers.
He had good wide receivers.
They offered to go get him a running back, and he said no.
Mark Clayton and Mark Duper.
He just wanted to throw the ball. Exactly. None of those guys are top 50 ever. I don't even think they're top 1,000. All right, dog.
They not top 20 in Miami Dolphins history.
I was just about to say the exact same shit, but I was gonna say 10. Dog, I'll take Jarvis Landry off for both of those guys in Miami history. Like, what are we talking about? Yo, I just told you your boy is tied for 4, 5, or 6. Don't try to make it more than what it is. He's good, yo. Laces out, Dan.
Marino? Yeah, if Marino had a Super Bowl, even if it was just the one, I think Marino would get the treatment that you see Aaron Rodgers get, where you hear people talk about, oh, Aaron Rodgers, he's that, he's one of the best people we've ever seen do it, blah, blah, blah. You hear some folks who have Aaron Rodgers in the GOAT discussion just because of his abilities with throwing the ball. And I think if Marino had got a ring, he'd be in that conversation too. But the fact that he doesn't have one, it sets him outside of it, where people have to say, you have to say basically what EJ said. He's one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen do it. But then you have to put that but and then throw in the Bradys and the Montanas and all these guys who won, because at the end of the day, running backs, not running backs, but skill players, we judge based off stats. Whereas quarterbacks, we judge them based off rings. And Marino never got a ring.
Yo, Josh Allen also won MVP because his wife or his fiance is a baddie.
Yo, I mean, so what's up the halftime show? What are your thoughts there?
Oh,
you know where I stand.
Lead right into that.
You know where I stand. Kendrick Lamar's overrated. The halftime show was trash.
I agree. I'll say this though. Halftime show, I thought it was trash. I didn't think it was that. I couldn't hear him that well. I don't know what was happening with the audio. I don't know if it was him not having the mic close enough or them not turning up the mic enough or whatever. But the audio wasn't good. But what I can say, man, is that they not like us, man. It's just Drake down bad.
Drake got a new album. He's number 1. Drake
gonna have to do something that's redefining for the human race. Maybe he can cure cancer or something, because it's
Drake just got to go out and get a tan and be darker, and black people will love him. That's all.
Oh my God.
Y'all just mad because he light skinned.
Yeah, I saw a video of people on a Carnival cruise watching the halftime show in the theater room, whatever what I'm talking about, Steve, where they do the performances at.
On the cruise?
And I mean, on a cruise, that even the white people was in there. They not like us. They not like us.
Yeah, I seen 2. I seen one boat where they were on the top outside, and I saw one where they were inside watching it.
Yeah.
But on
international waters, though, this shit is crazy.
on the halftime show,
biggest sing along record of all hip hop time. Let's just sing
It don't
them.
matter, dog. It don't matter.
On the halftime show, the way I look at it, in the moment, right? When I'm watching any halftime show, if you look at it in the moment, it's not a good halftime show because when you look at the halftime show, you're looking for entertainment. So from an entertainment value standpoint, the halftime show to me was probably a 5, 4 or a 5. When you go in and you dissect and look at it days later and then you come up with your think pieces and there was 5 white stars, they represent the 5 oligarchs. That if it's true, that you're making shit up. Now, if you don't talk about the super super duper duper deep dive when you're watching it, the message is still there, and that part I thought was dope. Just the fact that, and this is always Kendrick, and he did it last time, even when he came out with Dre and them. Beyonce did it. Like the message that they're sending is a good message without the deep dive. You got all black people. You got all black people making up the American flag. Then you got a street pole with a bunch of hood dudes on the sitting on it singing. Like that is enough. You don't have to give me the think piece. He represented black people great. He made a statement that we're a big part of this country, and that's enough. Like I don't need the think piece. So I like that he did that, and I even like the crazy part is he came out with some Jordache straight leg bell bottoms. That's wild.
Yeah. I for me, you know, I think that the NFL needs to go back to, and I don't know if it's necessarily NFL. I don't know if it's Rock Nation that's deciding on this or the NFL. I'm not sure who's making these decisions now that Jay Z's involved in this thing, and maybe YouTube. But when the Janet Jackson and JT thing happened, and that was in 2004, so we're talking 20 years ago. They turned the corner hard, and we started getting these halftime shows that I was fine with it every now and then, where in order after JT Janet Jackson we had Paul McCartney. The following year in 05, 06, the Rolling Stones, 07, Prince, go shit. 08, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. 09, Bruce Springsteen. 2010, The Who. And then in 11, we got Usher. And then the year after that, we got Madonna, great. Beyonce, great. Bruno. And then after that, it's just nothing but, basically like urban folks, save for Coldplay and Katy Perry. Well, I guess Lady Gaga too. Oh damn, Justin. Damn. Oh no. Whoa. I'm losing my Maroon 5. Justin. Never mind. It just seems like there's been a lot of black performers, and my point I was trying to make is I think that they may need to go the other route and bring in another white performer, because you've had like a lot of black performers in succession of each other. And I think that, NFL, we love football too, but, like you got to kind of keep this thing even. And maybe, my idea for next year would actually be to bring in like Miley Cyrus. You know what I mean? And let her come in. Or that's her name, right? Miley. No, Hannah Montana's the Disney character, right? Or am I mixing it up? I know it's the same person. I can't remember which one is the real person, which one is the Disney.
Miley's her real name. Hannah Montana was her TV name on Nickelodeon.
I don't listen to her music, though, so I don't know. But yeah, there you go. So, you bring in Miley Cyrus or whatever, somebody like that. Let her do, maybe let her come in as Hannah Montana, do a couple of joints from that. And then she flips it to the Miley Cyrus joint, and then does the Wrecking Ball, all that shit. End it with Party in the USA. And then, boom, because
I'm going to pop your bubble. Next year is going to be Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is working on an album. She's not planning to go on tour this year, so she won't be coming off of a major international tour. I think it will be Taylor Swift next year.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying, I think my point is just that, like the NFL has to, I think they need to have it like where it's kind of a rotation, or maybe we, do like a old head group that's like, like how they had the Paul McCartneys and the Rolling Stones and stuff like that. And then, kick it in somebody newer, somebody urban, somebody white, whatever. You know what I mean? Like mix it up instead of it just all being all, R&B and hip hop kind of folks or whatever. You know what I mean?
They need a Diddy halftime show.
Mm. I mean, you look at the last couple of years, man. We had Kendrick this year, Usher last year. Year before that was Rihanna. Year before that was the big one with Dre and Snoop and all of them. The year before that, The Weeknd. And then the year before that, they had J-Lo and Shakira.
I don't think they have to go black or white. I think they need to get back into a place where they create the option to bring out people on both sides of it. So I'm trying to go back to I think we talked about it. So you talked about it was Beyonce, Bruno Mars. On that one we saw Coldplay, right? I think Coldplay was the headliner. Coldplay was the
Coldplay was
headliner.
the headliner.
Yeah, and we saw Beyonce, Bruno Mars, and others,
Mm-hmm.
Gustavo, Dudamel, and a bunch of other people there.
Right.
Katy Perry brought out Lenny Kravitz, Missy Elliott. Like that's you get both sides of it there. Bruno Mars brought out Red Hot Chili Peppers. You get both
Right.
sides of it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
those
Yeah, I agree with
Madonna,
that. I like that.
yeah, Madonna brought out LMFAO, Nicki Minaj, MIA, CeeLo. Like you're getting a little bit of everything, and I think that's the safer route in my opinion. The Black Eyed Peas brought out Usher and Slash from uh Guns N' Roses. So
Mm-hmm.
again, you're getting a little bit of everything, and I feel like I don't want to beat that point, but I think that's what unless you get someone who's an absolute super mega star like The Weeknd, he needed nobody. 100%. Rihanna needed nobody. If you bring Beyonce back, I think she can do it alone. If Jay-Z decides to do it, I think he can do it alone. If Drake is brought in to do it, I think he can do it alone. Like these are people that you can do it alone and everybody likes them, no matter what your musical background is. You've heard them on your radio station, but if you're not that type of person like a Kendrick Lamar, you have to find a way to mix that in. Otherwise you're gonna have this type of response. But low key, I'm happy for it because that's where our country is right now, and I do feel like we needed that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I mean,
where
I
better
can
for it
agree
to
with that.
be than New Orleans? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. I just think we said it on before the Super Bowl, and I'll just say it again real quick. I think the fact that and I don't know whose decision it is, if it's Kendrick's, if it's the NFL, Rock Nation, whoever, but the fact that you have a hip hop themed halftime show, and you're in New Orleans, you don't bring out the biggest hip hop star in that city, not just from that state, but in the little city. I just think that was just that was
that was
just
a miss.
a huge injustice. That was a huge missed opportunity. Whatever. That's crazy.
Yeah. And they did say that the head of Rock Nation who comes up with the talent or assists with the talent did come out and say that Lil Wayne was considered, but they decided to go another way.
Mm.
So for whatever reason. Um but the only other person, who would you want to see? Like if I had a choice next year, if you had a choice of one act, no matter who they bring out, whatever, but if you had to choose the act for next year, who was it for you?
I wouldn't be mad. I mean, I brought up the Miley Cyrus thing. I wouldn't be mad about Taylor Swift, like you mentioned. If they went old school, I'm not sure if Bon Jovi's done it before. I wouldn't mind him.
That's what EJ says. EJ wants Bon Jovi.
Yeah, Bon Jovi's good, man. That's
Yo,
good
don't
music.
ever grunt yourself when somebody says Bon Jovi again, dog. Don't ever do that. And on Valentine's weekend, you should be ashamed. Who EJ? If you had one, is Bon Jovi? Is Bon Jovi your choice, yo? If you can choose one.
Yeah, Bon Jovi for me. Bon Jovi for me, bro.
I think for me it's Chris
Bon Jovi
Brown.
got hits.
I want to see Chris Brown
Yeah.
next year. If I had one choice. Um, Yo, EJ, how many happy Valentine's texts did you send on Thursday to women?
Only to my daughters and my girl. That's it. I ain't even text her. I just said it.
VP.
None, man. I did the
Okay.
responsible thing and broke up before Valentine's Day.
Ah, I see. Okay. That's growth. That shows growth.
Good man.
I didn't text any. I didn't text any. I text my mom. That was it. But you think about back in the day, like I was thinking about the other day, like back in high school, we'll say high school, you wake up on Valentine's Day, it was like 6, 7, 8 phone calls going out. Like, never mind, forget it. All right, you guys don't have to participate.
It's a wild day. It's a wild day. I know. I remember that day, it being a wild day. Scrambling with the notes and trying to secure yourself. Something for the
Thought
sake
buying
of
a
it.
dozen roses and then giving one. Never mind. You know what? Forget it. I ain't gonna give y'all my sauce. 2025. So what'd y'all watch for Valentine's Day?
Well, I don't think I watched anything.
Yeah, I've been watching Lioness. So
Lioness, yeah. You should not watch Lioness on
that's been
Valentine's
on.
Day. You need to devote all of your attention to your woman, not to Lioness.
That's just dumb.
Did you guys watch Paradise yet?
I did. I started it. I only got one episode in yesterday.
Okay,
We
that's
started
enough.
it late. And so by the time the first episode finished, I realized the skills competition had started, and so I flipped it to the 3-point contest and then watched the rest of the skills competition. But I started episode 1. You know what's crazy? Like, you know how like once you get the, I don't, has EJ seen it? I'm not sure how far I should talk.
I think he saw the first.
I've seen a few episodes.
Okay. So I'm watching the first episode, and like something seems off to me, like on like that neighborhood, but I can't put my hands on it. You know what I mean? And so I'm just like, okay, whatever. Maybe it's just they have to film it this way, because maybe it's Hulu's, it's low budget, whatever. Right? And then when you get the reveal at the end, I'm like, oh shit. so so yeah, but I think EJ went overboard in saying like, it wasn't good, and all the things he said, and again, I have to come back to the fact that EJ typically will start a show at 3 o'clock in the morning after he's been out drinking and eating wings, and then say, man, that shit was boring. It couldn't keep me up. But I also won't go as far as Steve to saying like the first episode had me so captivated that I think it was good. I think I'm hooked enough to watch the entire season. I don't have to go with my 3-episode rule, but I don't think the episode was like as crazy fire as Steve made it seem. But it seems like a good show, and I'm ready to finish it.
Crazy. I do not start
Dom,
shows after
you can't
drinking.
tell me that you think that Paradise is okay, but you love the Hot Cheeto show, Hot Ones or whatever.
That was a movie.
Paradise is okay.
That was a movie. Number
Paradise
one.
is okay, but you
Well,
gotta go out and check this. Let me tell you about something that's this is a generational film.
For VP to call Hulu, for VP to call Hulu low budget is crazy. Nigga said Hulu's low budget.
You know, I mean, like, they don't got Netflix money.
Well, now that Tubi's around, they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, eventually you move up. At one point, Hulu was the pits. Like, that was
really.
But now that they've partnered with Disney, they
Yeah, they had Disney money for the last couple years.
Yeah, Disney. They've been partnered with Disney from the beginning, but Disney now owns more of it now. So
there's 5 episodes.
A bit more access to the bag.
Make time to watch it.
I'm up to wifey to see if we want to go back and watch it because we both were not excited from it.
Not
I
paying
think
attention.
we'll probably get at least 2 more in today. But yeah, I like it so far. I got my little theories and stuff like that. So we'll
It
see.
gets better. It gets better, and well, I still think the first episode was phenomenal, but it gets better. On like there's so many like turns and twists and cliffhangers. Like we're on episode 5, which is the last one that came out, and there's a huge twist on it. So, if you're into that type of thing when you're watching shows, that's a good one for you. If you're somebody that doesn't want to be hung, pause, because you want that stuff right up front, then you should probably wait for the season to end, because after like right now I'm like, damn, I can't wait for episode 6 because I need to know what the fuck is up. So but it's a pretty good
Steve,
show.
when are you gonna watch Raising Kanan? When are you gonna watch Raising Kanan?
Raising
I'm sick of
Kanan
having this
is
discussion with you.
it's on my list. So right now I'm watching Paradise. The challenge still plays every week, so I'm watching the challenge, of course. I got to go back and watch The Sopranos again, probably one more time, at least. I have to. Yeah, I guess Raising Kanan probably falls right about there. After my next watch of The Sopranos, then it'll fall right into that spot. Now
Power
that
fans,
there's no ghost, no football, then I could probably start watching it.
power fans are calling Raising Kanan the best of all of them and the most realistic of all of them. It's good. Tell him. Gotta watch it.
I saw. I'm gonna watch it. I told you I started it. I saw the first 3 or 4 episodes where I saw up to when Jukebox starts messing with the white girl. Jukebox.
Mm,
I saw that up until that
jukebox.
point. Yeah, when she started messing with the white girl and they went up to the rooftop and blah blah blah. Like that's as far as I saw. And then I kind of then Power was on, regular Power, and there was other stuff on at that time. So I just never got back to it. Did you see Captain America, EJ?
No, I'm gonna see it on Monday. Tomorrow.
Fake
I'm gonna see it
ass,
tomorrow.
fake ass
President's Day.
comic book fan. VP did. Oh, you didn't see it.
Well, I have to wait for my kids. I gotta wait for my kids. That's the only reason I didn't go see it.
Captain America is good.
They had
I
cheer.
want to say that in this world that is being led by racism and a horrible leader, that Captain America is black and his second mate is half Mexican, half Colombian.
Okay.
It was good though.
I'll take
Captain America was
DI
good, and I see where it's going.
Captain America.
I see where it's going, and I think EJ, I think you're going to be surprised and pleasantly surprised with the direction they're going after the stuff that you hear them talk about in this movie. But I think you're going to be skeptical of how they're going to execute it.
Yep, I already am.
But they are going in a really good direction, in my opinion. And if they're going where I think they're going, oh man, buckle the fuck up. Disney and Marvel about to take this shit the fuck over again. If they're going where I think they're going. And I think they are.
I've seen some trailers that I wish I didn't see, kind of telling me where the future lies. And the insertion of this Fantastic Four movie, they're gonna reset. You're gonna get a whole new line of X-Men. You'll get all of that stuff coming to you very soon. So,
and then we're gonna get. Oh man, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. I'll wait till after you guys watch it. I have the end credit scene if you want me to send it to you. I
no thanks.
Recorded it.
I'm good.
Okay. Right.
You just don't to pirating on our pod. What's wrong with you?
No, I found it online. I didn't say I was going to share it on here. I was going to share it to you. I mean, you watch TV.
Mhm.
Never mind. Yo, VP, we have a dope head in charge of the health department for the United States. A guy that was on heroin for 14 years and told us that heroin is what allowed him to get through school. Before that, he couldn't read, he couldn't stay in his seat. How do you feel about that? Are you excited about that?
I mean, it's everything with Trump, man. Like when you like anything you hear them talk about, like when they talk about DEI, all this kind of stuff like that. It's basically just the racism of saying, we should be okay with mediocre white men or mediocre white people in general being in charge of things. And if you are in any position of power, of notoriety, and you're a person of color, you only got there because you're a person of color, not on the merits, you know. And like, I mean, if you think about uh, Barack Obama, for example, the two presidents that he is sandwiched in between, he has one who was an alcoholic uh, 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 in George W. Bush, C student at college who only got into Harvard or Yale, whichever one he went to, because he was a legacy student because of his dad. You know what I mean? Wrote his dad's last name all the way to the governorship in White House. Becomes president, fucks up the country. Obama comes in, who's a highly educated guy who went to Harvard, good marriage, no DUIs, none of that shit or whatever, right? Good family, all that kind of stuff. And then he's replaced by a guy who's one of the dumbest people on the face of the planet in Donald Trump. And then you look at who replaces Donald Trump, a guy in Joe Biden, a guy who's dedicated his life to public service, had two wives, one of them died, unfortunately, and then the other one's he married to for 30, 40 years, however long he's been. And then the country said, yeah, we got to go away from that and go back to one of the dumbest people on the planet again. And so everything that they're doing now is just to say, black people, people of color, have no place in this country. They shouldn't be in any position of power because they're not smart enough, you know. And we see every institution being led by mediocre white people, whether it's Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense, whether it's RFK at HHS, Cash Patel at the FBI, Tulsi Gabbard at the DNI, and you just go down the list. It's just a bunch of people who just aren't qualified to hold the position that they have. But because of the tone,
don't talk bad about Tulsi.
Because of the tone of their skin for most of them, say for Cash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, they got those jobs. And the other two, the ones who don't have the skin tone, is because of their loyalty to this criminal president. And then you can say the same shit about Elon Musk as well. Like, I mean, don't ever forget that this guy grew up in apartheid South Africa. And you hear him come over here spewing all this bullshit about DUI or DEI and things like that. So just don't forget that. But sorry, I'll let y'all go for some things.
Don't talk about Tulsi like that. Yo. Tulsi high in my book. She like what was the chick from Alaska? She was high in my book too.
She's a plant.
Huh?
I said she's a plant.
What's her name?
Someone told me. I said she's a plant.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Alaska chick. What was the last chick?
Sarah Palin.
Yeah. She was high in my book too. Oh, I got some stats for you real quick. Hold on. Got you. As of Friday, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Inflation is up 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Cost of shelter is up 0.4%. Gas is up 1.8%. And eggs are up 15%.
Mm-hmm.
That was as of Friday.
Yeah. And all of the stuff that's funny is like, we keep seeing these stories about Trump supporters who are realizing that the stuff that he campaigned on is going to be bad for them, not just bad for black people. It's like, whoa, we didn't vote for that. This only supposed to be paying for black people. What's happening here? You know, and they fucked around, and now they're finding out. You know, and I don't. There's a story in Alabama about there's a an electric, like a grant that people in Alabama get that allows them to save $100 on their electric bills. They got rid of that, and so now these people just got $100 added to their electricity bill across the state. You know, Alabama, this is what you voted for. And I get it, everybody in Alabama didn't vote for Trump, for somebody who's going to say that in the comments or some shit like that, right? But the state went for Trump by a huge margin. This is what they wanted. You have all these farmers in the Midwest who are now understanding that they're starting to slowly find out that the SNAP program, the food stamps program, that's how their farms get subsidized, right? Through programs like SNAP and WIC, right? Because you look at the WIC program, for example, you know what you get when you get on WIC? You get a shit ton of milk, almost more milk than any person drinks in a month. But you get a shit ton of milk, a shit ton of dry cereal, cheese, and some juices, right? What is that? It's dairy, it's wheat, it's soybeans, and you know all that shit comes from American farms. But we're going to cut food stamps down. We're cutting USAID, which the USAID money, which goes to help foreign countries and shit like that. All of the rice and soybeans and other kind of fruits and vegetables and shit like that they buy them from American farmers and then help give them out to other countries in the world to help stave off starvation and shit like that, right? And so now that we've cut all that stuff, these farmers are out there saying, hey, we didn't vote for this. And it's no, yes, you did. It's just that you thought that when you voted for this shit, we were going to cut off those welfare queens, you know, those black people who live in Atlanta and the Hispanics in Miami and New Orleans and New York and LA and places like that. But you didn't realize that it's you that's the welfare queen. Because all those subsidies that you get through SNAP, through WIC, through USAID, that's essentially keeping your farm afloat. That's how you've been making the money. Because poor people are getting those services to buy your shit. And then they say, oh, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, insert the name of whatever Democrat you want, AOC, whatever. They want to raise taxes, and I'm going to lose my family farm. Well, you know what's going to happen now once we reduce all these benefits like WIC and SNAP and the things that I just talked about is
Tell us.
Your farm is going to start hurting, and then these big agro business companies, they're going to come in and buy your family farm. And then instead of having these small family farms that are helping the country and helping us have lower prices because there's some parity, I guess, in the or competition in the farming industry, it's going to be just like the meat industry, where there's like 4 or 5 companies that do all the meat in the U.S. There's going to be 4 or 5 companies that do all the dairy and do all of the wheat and the rice and the corn and all that shit like that, because you decided that you had to vote for the criminal races to stop black people from getting food stamps. Congratulations, you played yourself.
The question I have for you both is, and I think we were talking, people at work were talking, despite all that they're going to find out that they messed around and found out about, is it going to really change their ideology on this guy or not?
No. And I think that's the really sad part. Is no. Because, and here's why I say that, EJ. I don't even think it's not even a guess for me, right? Trump did this thing with tariffs the first time with China, and China hit back, and they put reciprocal tariffs on American agriculture. And you had farmers all across the Midwest that were hurting. And China specifically targeted their tariffs to hurt red states where a lot of these agriculture products come from. And those same folks turned around and said, Joe Biden sucks. We got to get this guy back in here. So, no, it's not going to matter for them. Because at the end of the day, it's you've talked about this on previous pods, where, racism is a mental health thing or whatever. It's not, it's not in the blood. it's learned behavior. And from what these people understand, you know, it's their whiteness that is the thing they gotta protect. And if their health gets fucked up, if their kid can't get an emergency abortion because they have an ectopic pregnancy, or if their kids' schools get shot up, or whatever the thing is, none of that stuff matters to them as long as we're protecting whiteness.
Hurricanes, tornadoes.
Right, right.
Hurricanes,
Trump
tornadoes be damned.
this
Well, right
week,
now there's flooding in
this week,
Kentucky.
right, flooding in Kentucky, and this week the state of Georgia asked for an extension on the hurricane relief that Joe Biden provided to them, and Trump denied that. The Georgia voted for him. You know what I mean? And so those people who got for Hurricane Helene, and so for those people in Georgia who got ravaged by Hurricane Helene, Trump said the federal government's out. Do you? You know what I mean? He's talking about getting rid of FEMA. And to Steve's point, that is flooding in Kentucky. People still recovering from Hurricane Helene, and I think the other one, Milton, if I remember correctly. North Carolina got destroyed. All these places like that. This is what they voted for. So you're only getting what you asked for. So I can't be angry for you because this is what you wanted.
Yeah. It's too late now. And because they have no say, right? Trump he can't run again. People like him can run, but he can't run again. And so as far as what it looks like, as far as it concerns him, he's now focused on rich. How do I cater to the rich? I don't think he cares about what color the person is that's impacted. I think he's just like poor. And, when you think about it, by ratios, yes, the poorer people in America, or the less fortunate, or even mid class, tend to be us and other brown people, right? The people that make the bigger money is more white, so it does appear to be racism as well. And I think a lot of this stuff is rooted in racism. But I think he is showing, I don't give a fuck about you. And that's the whole thing with Georgia. I don't care that you guys voted for me. I don't need your vote anymore. I don't need you to go out and tell your people to vote for me again. At this point, you're saying you want more money? No, I'm not giving it to you, because I'm going to take that money and I'm going to set myself up and my family up for the future with these other billionaire people. And that's all that's the direction he's going in. And
Right. And I agree with you, Steve. But I think this is the part that's nastier about it, right? Is that during the campaign, it's these hurricanes are being mismanaged. Biden spent all the money on immigrants and DEI and all this kind of stuff like that. If I was in there, things would be better, right? And then he gets in there and says, "Actually, we're gonna just cut you off.
Go fend for yourself, dog." Go fend for yourself. Oh, you didn't finish your application on time? Should have done it while Joe was in. That's what he's saying.
It's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
But the thing is, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just we still got 3.5 more years of this shit, or more. So,
And part of the reason why it doesn't matter, Steve, is that I've said this thing so many times on the podcast, is that there's a right wing echo chamber where Fox News, OAN, and all the rest of the right wing media, whether it be podcasts, YouTubers, people on TV, radio, whatever, they act as the communication arm of the Republican Party. And so they have a group of people who listen to them religiously, and these folks constantly lie to their viewers, telling them that everything is going to be okay. And whenever something gets to a point to where it may not be okay, they will then lie to them and tell them that it's somebody else's fault. It's not Trump's. And example is this week when those inflation numbers came out saying that inflation's gone up, you started hearing people on right wing radio talk about how it was great that Trump is it was somebody he picked a fight with. I can't believe it. And they're essentially saying, like, isn't it awesome like how he's distracting people by picking a fight with so and so? It's like, it's classic Trump. So they don't even show them that this thing is happening. You know what I mean? And so for these folks, all the stuff that we're talking about, whether it's these programs getting cut or whatever, it's either Joe Biden's fault or, hey, look over there.
Yeah. It's not us, it's them. This is residual. This is all residuals to the last 4. You think he can fix what he did, what was done in 4 years in just a day? That's not how it happens, even though that's what he promised. You know what? Dog, it is what it is. People gonna find out. And I think by the time a lot of these people that are yeah, by the time a lot of these people that are decent in decent situations figure it out, it's gonna be too late. Because the ones that are in decent situations today, like I know some small business owners and stuff that were are Trump supporters, and they still stand behind this guy, and they still out there just spending away and throwing it away, and like making it look like or making it rain and shit, right? I gotta look rich. I don't gotta get rich or be rich. I gotta look rich. Check out these Dior, whatever I got. All right, you got it, Chief. It's gonna get worse once these tax cuts come. When they start cutting off these small business owners. What health insurance do you have, dog?
Yeah.
That Obamacare that you got? Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
check this out, Steve. The inflation numbers
seen
that you went over.
You've seen that narrative.
The inflation numbers that you went over, Steve.
How people just.
What?
My bad. Go ahead.
Go.
No, we've seen that. We've seen that narrative at times on how, and VP always says this, and we always have to remind VP, like, people are not aware of politics. They're not aware of how their government works. They just want to feel okay. And these same people for Obamacare, dog, it's the reason you're alive today. They don't. It's insane. And we've been seeing this for years. So when one can only imagine how bad that delusion is now.
Yeah, and what's going to be even worse for them is, like Steve just went over some of the inflation data that came out this week. Those numbers don't include the tariffs. That's all stuff. That's all under basically like the end of Joe Biden and then the first week and a half of Trump from January. None of those tariffs are included in those numbers yet. So things are going to get worse. You know what I'm saying? And the Republicans just released the outline of their the tax cuts they're going to do, and their plan is they're going to cut taxes. They're going to cut taxes by $4.5 trillion, right? $4.5 trillion, and then they're doing roughly about $4 trillion in spending cuts, right? And where are those spending cuts coming from? 20% of SNAP they plan on cutting. And if you look at in the chat, Steve, I don't know if you can put that on the screen. I posted a map of the United States, basically a heat map that kind of shows where the most SNAP usage is throughout the country, right? You'll see who's going to get hurt by that. They plan on reducing Medicaid by $800 billion. They're already talking about cutting Social Security and veterans benefits and Medicare and all these other programs. You hear them talking about cutting, which is basically stuff that poor people and old people use in order to make sure the richest people in the world can get richer, that they can get more tax cuts. These people, and here's the map here that shows a SNAP enrollment by percentage of county population. Everything that you see in green, everything on the map is SNAP or food stamps usage. Anything that's in the darker the green, that's the lower the usage, and the darker the red is the higher the usage. So besides Oregon, right, you're seeing all over the Southeast, that's all these red states that voted for Trump. All over Southwest Texas, that's all Trump, right? And all up in Maine and in the Northeast, that's all Trump. All those little small counties in the middle of Michigan, right? Because I know people think Michigan, they think Detroit. Detroit is up there in the thumb area, So all those other places, that's all rural Detroit. All over the Midwest or whatever, and all those dark red areas in the Dakotas and things like that, in Montana,
Kentucky, Louisiana.
Yeah. So these people are about to get their food stamp benefits reduced. And if you're on food stamps, it's very likely that you're on Medicaid. Medicaid is about to be cut. If you're on SSI because you're poor, all that stuff is about to get cut. And this is what you signed up for. So,
Mhm. You know, the little bit of a difference here, right, is that Black people, we've struggled all our lives.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So all they're gonna do is put us back into our comfort zone. We've never left a comfort zone. We've been comfortable struggling. We found ways to make it happen. It's gonna be the people that have been handed to them all their lives, right? That think that they're okay or they're gonna be okay, and they're not. They're gonna be impacted by this shit as well. And it's gonna be funny to watch.
Shout out to Brett Favre.
Word.
Right.
He's gonna be impacted a lot.
The good
Yeah.
thing is, you know, they're cutting a lot more federal workers, a lot of IRS workers. So if you want to cheat your taxes, they may not even catch you.
hmm Over the
Oh,
weekend, the HHS fired a shit ton of people from Medicare, Medicaid, and the FDA. So yeah.
I seen I seen a meme on Instagram had me cracking up. Dude was like, "I'm gonna go ahead and submit my taxes now and just take the risk." Said the return was $872,000. Oh man, yo, all you can do is laugh, yo. All you can do is laugh because if you stress it, man, look, stress is the top killer of Black people in America, man. It ain't even worth the stress. We've been doing that all our lives.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on my
The only
cruise next month, and then I'm planning my little Paris vacation a few months after that. And if I gotta, if I gotta go get it, I'm gonna go get it. What Denzel say? I'm leaving here with something.
right. The only the
Come
not
from
only,
round
but
way.
like one of the things that's like really infuriating about this, obviously, like all the stuff Trump's doing is maddening, right? But the
Oh,
Democrats
and I gotta get back to Baltimore.
seem to have no clue of how they want to combat this shit. The stuff that I'm seeing is so inadequate, and it's Steve just put up those inflation numbers or whatever, and it's like, why aren't these people, you know, having press conferences inside grocery stores in front of the egg cartons and shit, or
Or in the bodega where they're selling them as Lucy's. You could
right,
buy an egg for $1.50 or $2 in the bodega right now, yo. That's how bad
right.
it is.
Why aren't they doing stuff like that? Or, hey, I'm having a press conference here, and these women on stage with me, each of them are on food stamps, and they got, a kid with cancer who's on Medicaid, and this kid is gonna die if, because Elon Musk is cutting off his health care and shit. You know what I mean? Why aren't we seeing this shit daily? And it's just it's insane to me, man. Like the I don't know what the strategy is here. Glass half full. I mean, maybe they're still in the lab formulating a strategy, but I'm not glass half full. I just think they're just missing in action, man. This shit is insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, more to come, right?
Hopefully, we'll see.
More to come. Um, let's see. Anything else on the topic list? We covered NFL. We covered. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Yeah,
Anthony Davis is hurt.
that's it.
Oh,
I didn't even have to say it. AD's hurt, man. NBA is going to be interesting. NBA is going to be interesting coming down the stretch, coming out of the All-Star weekend. You guys watched the dunk contest last night?
yeah, I did.
I did not.
It actually was
Mac
good.
Mac McClung did what he had to do. And he just secured himself a Kia bag coming soon. Look for Mac McClung to be in every Kia commercial that you see for the next year. Like, it's happening. Smart guy, yo.
Yo,
Smart
talk
guy.
about DEI, yo. Mac McClung has won the dunk contest 3 years in a row during Black History Month.
I'm not mad at him, yo. I'm not mad at him. And your boy Tyler Hero won the 3-point contest.
Yeah. Salute to him.
Mm-hmm.
Won the dunk contest and
Can't hit them bitches in the game though.
Yeah.
And he's a first-time All-Star this year as well. So, good job for him.
John Morant posted online that Mac might make him decide to dunk and join the dunk contest next year. And
I saw that
Fuck outta
last
here.
night. I saw that last night, Steve. And my
Antetokounmpo
literal reaction
said he's with it.
My literal reaction to my wife was like, "Oh my god," because I just knew that I was gonna have to sit through 20 minutes of you and EJ talking about why LeBron sucks because he didn't join the dunk contest. I'm surprised we haven't got.
No.
Oh,
We
you-
could talk about why the dunk
Oh, you better
contest
believe
sucks.
it. Oh, you better believe it.
We could talk about why the dunk contest sucks because LeBron didn't get into the dunk. This dude found a way to ruin All-Star Weekend.
Ruined tradition. He's such a
Y'all-
fan of the game, such a student of the game, but doesn't pay homage to those superstars before him that graced their presence in a slam dunk contest. And no, his bitch ass wants to continue to leading into all week doing some miraculous dunk to remind us how much he could be great in the dunk contest. Fuck him.
Oh, boy.
Giannis replied and said, "If you do it, I'll do it." And Giannis was already in it once when he was young. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, he was ass.
But he was super thin and he looked like a little kid when he was in it. But I wouldn't mind seeing some of these guys. I had an idea for the dunk contest, yo, and I was talking to I was here watching it with Rich last night, and we were like, "Yo, how do you get better?" And what I was saying is, these guys that are dunking, so it's not like it used to be, oh, well, you need the stars to do it so that they can, so they can be a part of this, right? So people watch. That's not the case. People are watching it, and you got Mac McClung and 3 nobodies, dunking. So
Yeah.
what they probably should do is say, yo, if you want to be part of it as an NBA player, that's fine. We're going to take 4 NBA players. Each one of you have to go out and find a amateur dunker and do it as like a team. So like 4 of those YouTube dudes, them paired with one of the NBA players, and then they figure a way. Maybe they how they have 2 dunks each round. One is the NBA player, one is the whoever they find, the YouTube dunker or the back the playground dunker or whatever. Because at least we'll get some better dunks. Because the problem was last night, everybody missed every single one of their first dunks except Mac McClung. This dude had 4 dunks last night. All 4 were the best dunks that we saw, and he hit every single dunk on the first try.
Oh boy, made his first dunk on round 1 from the Spurs.
Oh, you're right, Castle. You're right.
Yeah,
he did. But it was also mid, so it wasn't like, you know what I'm saying. The one that the big white boy had from Chicago, that was a dope idea. Bouncing it and having it go through your legs and then catching and dunk. That's a fire ass dunk if he could have hit it.
Yeah.
But we saw it 4 times and you missed it. So actually, I attempted more than that. So, that's just my thought is maybe they do that. This way we get some good dunks, even if the NBA players, because the reality is NBA players are basketball players. They're going and playing basketball every day. They're practicing basketball 7 days a week. Mac McClung is a dunker. He's practicing dunks 7 days a week. YouTube dunkers are practicing dunks 7 days a week. Backyard dunkers are practicing dunks 7 days a week. So you're going to get better dunkers and more creative dunks from the guys that are practicing and dedicating their time to that. And maybe that's what the NBA needs to consider. You don't want to just bring in a bunch of amateurs. So pair them with your NBA players, and now you can still associate them with a team and say this team is representing Milwaukee or this team is representing Miami and so on.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think,
might be a great idea.
Yeah, because I think that what we've seen in the league is the more money the players make, the further they get away from these things, right? So like you look at a guy like Tyler Hero, who, you know, um, I mean this dude 10 years ago, he'd be like the, seventh guy on your roster, coming off the bench after the first time out or something like that. You know what I mean? And this dude signed a $120 million contract. Duncan Robinson, who is a role player, who basically is just a 3-point shooter, signed a $90 million contract. You know what I mean? And so you think about the kind of money that the big dogs are making. Like I don't need the dunk contest. That's not going to get me anything more. Somebody like Matt McClung needs that shit. These other guys, Ja and whoever, they don't need it. You know what I mean? Because their name already ring out. They're already selling jerseys. They already got the sneaker deals. They already got the max contracts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, for them, this is not something they need. It's not a legacy thing for them because the money is the legacy, And so that's why I'm just a fan. I've been saying it for years of just taking it out of the NBA and, attaching NBA folks to it, like to Steve's point, where it's like these guys are representing this team or whatever. I'm cool with that. But I think you go out and get some of these YouTube guys and one, whatever, if and one still around. But like guys like that, and you let them come in and do all the high flying stuff or whatever. Yeah, you're gonna have the stars of the league around. That's gonna help it, for TV or whatever. But you go get those people off the street and let them do it, and then you put some kind of cash prize associated with it. Kia sponsors the dunk contest, so the winner, gets $100,000 and a new Kia or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how you do this thing and kind of just take the NBA players out of it because they don't seem like they want to be in it anyway.
Yeah.
Because LeBron made it okay.
All right. Oh. That's right. Blame LeBron. Yeah, dog. Them YouTube players will do it for the opportunity to get flown somewhere, put up in a hotel, meet NBA players, and be on TV. Like, you don't even have to associate some shit with it because that's what they're doing it for. You get them subscribers to the channel, they're gonna do it. So, to your point though, you throw them $30K, $50K. Like, is that a slap in the face? Maybe, but it's an opportunity you wasn't gonna have otherwise.
Right.
This is Trump's America, dog. We're not giving out big money. We got money to save.
Yeah, you give them some kind of cash prize. I mean, it's not like the NBA's gonna give them that money. I'm pretty sure the money will come from the sponsor. So just whatever the prize is, it is. Whether it's a car in cash, just a car, whatever. But you do that, and then you bring them in, and I think maybe you keep the 3-point contest to the NBA guys. I'm even fine with them getting rid of the skills competition and making that like the YouTube guys or whatever. But the
skills was kind of ass.
We need an NBA versus WNBA game.
No.
All right, dog. All right, baby Trump. The minute as soon as they dunk on Caitlin Clark, dog, forget about it. Forget about it. Racism starts again. Well, you know what I mean.
I would see Draymond Green versus Angel Reese.
I don't like that they canceled the Steph Curry shootout. I don't know. Like, to me, that's the NBA caping to the male female type thing. I don't know. They should have kept the shootout between Steph and what's her face.
Well, they asked Caitlin Clark,
Sabrina.
but she said no.
Caitlin Clark would have got stomped on by Steph.
Probably, but she's also like, hey, I'm a big dog over here, so I'm not gonna go and diminish myself. No, I'm not. I don't even want to say diminish. I'm the big dog over here. I'm not gonna go over here and lose and like, lessen my position or whatever. So, like LeBron not doing a dunk contest, I'm not shooting in this 3-point contest.
Sabrina Ionescu or whatever her name is.
Sabrina Ionescu from the world champion New York Liberty. Shout out to my Liberty.
Yeah, well, she tucked her tail. Or maybe Steph tucked his tail. You never know. He be hanging out with LeBron lately, so.
It all makes sense.
Yeah. Do the math, yo, like Kendrick. It was supposed to be 23 balls shot last night, and you know,
there's 53,000 breath shots to Virginia, and Kendrick, he laid that out in that
you guys
performance.
watching the All-Star game? What's the new
I don't
format?
understand the format. I'm probably gonna peep it, but I don't know if I'm gonna be watching like that because I don't really understand the format.
All-Star player pool was drafted into 3 teams. Kenny's Young Guns, Chuck's Global Stars, and Shaq's OGs. They will be joined by the winner of the Rising Stars. Ew. Ew. Brother, ew. Why would you do that? That is trash. Yo, get this ball dude up out of here, yo. He is ruining the NBA. Bring back David Stern and the racism, yo. I'd rather that NBA than this NBA today.
Wow.
No, just me. All right. Well,
He's talking about
Pretty
going down to the 10-minute quarters too.
I saw that. EJ's gonna be happy with that. He hates that the NBA is even 82 games. He would have it be
I
like
don't
20 games if he could.
I don't like that. Like like his reasoning, I understand. He's like the rest of the world does 10-minute quarters, so
We not the
we
rest
should
of
get
the
in
world,
line with
dog.
it.
We set the
He
fucking bar.
he wants the NBA to
Smart
get in
dick.
line with it, so that way, when they start talking about putting teams overseas, or maybe if they create like an overseas league, everything will be like, the same. But it's like, okay, the rest of the world does 10-minute quarters. We invented basketball. Like, why the hell are we doing what they did? They should be doing what our league does,
Right. Yeah. What's his name again?
Adam Silver.
Adam Silver. Adam Silver, suck my dick. Figure it out, dog. You need to get with Roger Goodell, find a way to be racist and support racism at the same time. This way you can build, the footprint, because Roger Goodell, this dude done found a way. He found a way to make Kaepernick a villain and still win black people back and white people. Like, he found a way to make people get COVID shots and still have Republicans watch the football. I'm telling you, man. All right, that's it. That's all I got for today. It's a beautiful day down here. Y'all still dealing with snow up there, EJ?
Yeah, flurries, sleet, and it's pretty gray and wet out there today. It's not as cold. It's about 40.
We need to look at
So
that April weekend.
it's
They
about
got Yankees going to Baltimore April 28th, 29th, and 30th. I might need to check that. Oh, that's a Monday, Tuesday,
I like it.
Wednesday. That's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't
Yeah.
like that. And they don't go back there until September. And I don't know if I want to wait all the way to September.
Right.
Although that could be football and baseball that weekend, September
True.
19th, 2020.
The Ravens do play the Jets. The Jets do play Ravens in Baltimore this year too.
April's good though, because it
So
ain't too
should be
hot.
fun.
You know what I'm saying? Like I could go up there and I don't gotta sweat my balls off fucking with y'all again. Pause. That's a
It
Monday,
might be
Tuesday,
hot.
Wednesday. Yuck. Ew. Ew. Do they play Washington this year in
Yankees?
Washington? Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule now. I don't think so. Oh no, they play Washington at home.
Mm.
All right. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. That's all I got. You guys got anything else?
For me, I mean, nothing like in the world, but I'm in week 2 of being in my power chair, man, and
You loving that shit?
yeah, man, the little bit of independent, like extra independence it gives, man. It's just, this shit has been the world for me, though. Man, I feel better in my head, like in terms of like my mental health, just being able to kind of, you know,
I'm
think about
sure. I'm sure.
it. I got chastised this week too, so you know,
Oh, you was outside cheating in your chair?
I did go outside, and she was taking a nap, and she was looking for me. Came outside like, you gotta let me know. You gotta let me know when you go outside. And I was like, why? What if something happened? I don't know where you at, or what? You know, I'm like, okay, mom. Like,
You gotta get a life alert, dog. She worried about you falling.
I done told you.
What if
She
what
went
if you
back
fell
to beat.
what if you fell off the driveway? Dog, I'm fine.
She went back to beating
I'm
Vari again.
40 years old.
I told you. You gotta tell me.
I've been trying to go outside to like just to get some sun exposure because I sit in the house all the time, so like my vitamin D levels are super low. I have to take.
Hey yo.
My doctor prescribed me vitamin D supplements, so I take a very high dose of it too. So yeah, I've been trying to just go outside just to get some sun exposure. I mean, shit, just breathing fresh air, like you know. But I'm hoping I go back to see my doc for my annual in June. So when he runs my my blood work, I'm hoping my levels have gotten better and maybe I can get off these pills and it's just one less pill I gotta take. You know.
Hell yeah. I hear you. I gotta go back too. It's the old people problems, yo.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's fine because black people shouldn't get the same pills, same medication, you know, because we're bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the government's gonna take care of all of that. And you go to the VA, so you're gonna be impacted. My black doctor, my black Democrat doctor is gonna be like, hey, go stock up. Matter of fact, I was in Costco yesterday and I heard a chick walking with her man. She was like, "You think they got we could stock up on Plan B today?" That was an actual conversation in Costco. Just in case.
People were saying to do that last year.
She's
you
a
were able to get them
winner.
on Amazon. You were able to get them on Amazon. People were stocking up on them from Amazon before the inauguration. So you know, they
Yeah.
did better.
Stock up.
Yeah, she's a keeper. She's a keeper, dog. That means she not making him
crazy. She be a keeper if she used her mouth instead.
Okay. All right. That's about it. Yep. Okay. All right. And just when we want to talk a little more, EJ says, I'm putting an end to this shit.
Yep.
So, with that, VP.
Oh, I'm the bad guy.
VP, look, if you want that, go get you a white girl. Told you, start dating outside your race, you'd be just fine, dog. You'd be all right. You'd be a happy man.
Yo, you out.
Allegedly.
Yeah, your boy, JT going through it, yo. Justin Tucker. Seven more women have accused him now. He hit them the shot numbers now.
Yeah, he need to just give it up, yo.
They better be careful because Ravens fans ain't gonna take that shit if you miss some kicks. They gonna take them broads out.
They don't play
shit.
That's a lot.
Damn.
Oh. All right. Well, I know what not to do when I go get a massage. And told y'all when I was in Mexico, they were like, "We do the front too." I'm like, "No, thank you." Here with my wife. Oh, you want the name of the massage parlor? I got you, EJ. I'll send it. I'll send it. All right, man. VP, if you want to do us the honors and get us up out of here.
Hey, absolutely. We definitely appreciate everybody for rocking with us this week. on this week. Wow, I can't talk. We appreciate everybody for rocking with us for this week's episode of the Castworthy Podcast. For the folks who listen live, like EJ's homeboy Chris, friend of the show, we definitely appreciate you taking time out your Sunday morning. For the folks who are listening once the episode posts, we appreciate you taking that time as well. Like we always say, man, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to your people. You never know, what people got going on in their lives, what's going on in their head. Don't just think what you see on the surface is what's actually happening. So reach out to folks, ask them how they're doing, tell them you love them. Tomorrow's promising nobody, so definitely make those phone calls, send those text messages. You can all find the podcast on all podcast platforms by searching at Castworthy. You can also find us on our social media by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can leave us a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We very much appreciate it. And for all those good folks who joined me in this week in doing the responsible thing of breaking up with her before Valentine's Day, it's time to make that phone call. Time to get back in there and let them know you love them. So it's still cold out there. So go ahead and get that done. But with that being said, man, we will see you guys. Oh, sorry. I would also be remiss to not mention that I think I speak for Steve and myself when I say that we were extremely delighted that EJ was finally able to join us for this week's episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Hopefully, the three of us will see you next week with another fresh episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Until then, we out. We love you. Peace.